To the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. Got a jam-packed show for you as always. Appreciate everyone tuning in today. Got a lot of things that we'll get into. I'm going to read you some stuff here in a little bit that'll make you kind of silly. I've also got some stuff on the transfer portal that is interesting, to say the least. And I mean, there's just so many things that are out there that are kind of silly. And I tell you what, some of the stuff that's there is it's a mess. Let's go out to the phones. First of all, they're always open, 803-978-1832. Welcome into the program. Good afternoon. Hold on a minute there.
Hello, Rob. It's Bobby and Casey. How are you?
Hey, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Doing well. Number one, plain and simple, the number one American rock and roll singer, Paul Stanley, Stanley Bird Eisen, turned 70 years old today of KISS. Anybody saying 40 and under doesn't know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm sure you're a little over 40, right?
Yeah, of course.
And they gave a show for your money for under $20 back in the 70s and 80s, right? I saw them 4 times live.
Yeah, that's a good thing to go and see live. What else you got for the show today?
Plain and simple. All these idiot Georgia fans are letting Stetson Bennett have it because he's coming back for another year. Sorry, buddy. Look here. I'm a South Carolina Miami Hurricane fan. What have we done in college football? 42 years you waited. And you're upset now that he's coming back, but he got you a national championship. Look here, South Carolina doesn't have any. Miami has 5, and they've been howling at the moon since 2002 for not having one. What more do you want, Georgia fans? I know you got Georgia people that call and whatever.
Yeah.
They brag how good they are. They're bragging more because they won 1-1 last Monday on the 10th. You got other people that are anti-Georgia fans that call howling too. Don't run on Stetson Bennett. You got a good team. He's not going to be an NFL quarterback. He's not going to be a first or second rounder. He's awful. But yet the system and the recruiting, the 5 stars on offense and defense you have, be grateful for what you have. I'm out, Rob. Thank you for letting me sermonize.
All right. You have a great day.
Long live KISS. Long live Paul Stanley. He's 70. Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir. Well, first of all, KISS is great. We know that. Bobby kind of went with the spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down theory. What that means is that you can talk about KISS and everybody's going to be like, man, that's great. Yeah, we love KISS. And then he just completely lambasted the Georgia fans and that listen to the show. And of course, we appreciate all who listen to the show, but he kind of slapped the Georgia fans in the mouth a little bit there. Look, let me give you something on this, and this is maybe my perspective on it. I think that when you really stop to look at it, even Bobby said it there at the end of his call. He goes, he's terrible. Those were his exact words. He's terrible. I don't think Stetson Bennett is terrible. I think Stetson Bennett is a serviceable quarterback, meaning that he's not going to do things that are going to get you beat. Okay? He's not. But if he did win them a national title. Now, if you are throwing rocks at Stetson Bennett and you don't want him back, then are you taking away from your national championship that you had? I don't know where to go with that. I really don't. Jay says something about, other CFB fans are happy to hear Stetson is coming back. I mean, I don't see where that matters, to be completely honest. Georgia's schedule next season is you play an SEC East schedule. It's not like you're beating down the doors where you're playing a bunch of other teams. So do you think that Kentucky's happy that he's coming back? I mean, he lit them up. He lit up Auburn. at Auburn. So they probably don't want to see Stetson Bennett again. I don't know. I think there's a good section of hatred that's out there for him. Someone tweeted out at Brooks Austin SI. Her Twitter name is at Angela_Pitch. She goes, it's the vocal minority, not the silent majority. So basically that implication is that the lion's share of Georgia fans, according to her, are going to be behind Stetson Bennett. Look, I'll give you this too. Whoever is under center, the Georgia fan base is going to rally around him. It's not like they're going to, mock this guy if Kirby Smart, your national championship winning coach, who, by the way, got over that hurdle, are they going to mock him and his decision to put this guy out there when that guy won you the national title? Are you completely just saying, you know what, Kirby, we know more than you do. Yeah, you won the national title with the guy, but we know more than you do. Do you think Georgia fans are going to do that? I don't know. We shall see. The Georgia quarterback competition is going to be interesting. Lee says, to be honest, I hope Stetson doesn't start and the next Georgia QB plays so bad fans are rooting for Stetson. At that point, your season's over. If you're rooting for the backup quarterback, your season is already over. Already over. GA Dog Online says it's not just Stetson, it's the other players that will and are now going to the portal. I could halfway listen to the argument of, look, there are guys that are quarterbacks on the roster that are probably going to leave, including JT Daniels, who's already on his way out. He could, other guys are going to leave from the quarterback room if this guy comes back for one more season. I mean, it's kind of whacked out, but I guess I could buy that. I guess I can buy that. All right, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Jay says, and the wide receiver recruits we are missing out on. Look, do you think that Georgia's not having problems recruiting people? They got a top 5 class. I mean, I rip Georgia fans a lot about a lot of silly things, but it seems like more and more I'm defending the program against their own fan base. You think that wide receivers aren't going to come to Georgia because Stetson Bennett is there? Are you serious? You don't know much about the game of Hut. Packalock Online says they should have went for Dart. Yeah, there's that too. Some of the stuff that was on Twitter about Stetson Bennett, if he read any of that, man, why would you want to come back? Jay says, we aren't Clemson. Top 5 is not the goal. Yeah, right. You're not the program that Clemson is. Clemson didn't have an issue winning what? They won 2 titles in the past 6 seasons. Georgia's won 1 in 41. You're right. You should aspire to be Clemson. Work on that, sir. James Hellman online says he's going to make more money next season in college off of NIL deals than he'll ever make in the pros. I'd come back too knowing that. If anything, he's smart. That's why UGA has a natty sitting at a local Walmart in Athens right now. That's a good point. NIL, he's going to make some money. Going to make some money. 803-978-1832. If you want to talk about the Stetson Bennett situation, at TJ Stansfield online on Twitter says, let's be honest here. Stetson made literally 4 good throws the entire game. The defense won the game. Okay. I mean, you can make that argument, but he kept the offense moving, and you beat Alabama with him there. You had better quarterbacks that couldn't beat Alabama. So I don't know what the hatred is there for Stetson. At X, the awesomeness says Stetson's going to cause all of our quarterbacks and wide receivers to leave. Only reason we won a natty with him was because of our defense. People just forget that in the national championship game. He played terrible for 3 quarters and did nothing. Yeah, leading the offense out there is not important. What a mess. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. You know, I don't know if they're giving him a fair shake or not, but we'll take calls on that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. I don't think Stetson Bennett staying there is going to hurt the Georgia recruiting class. I mean, what, people really believe that? Do you really believe that Stetson Bennett staying there is going to hurt the recruiting class? Okay. Well, when you look at the actual team rankings, let's see where the Georgia Bulldogs are. In the 2022 rankings, they're third. Yeah, Stetson Bennett screwed you guys over. I mean, you're third in the country. I mean, he's really, really screwing the program over. I mean, you're behind Texas A&M, who is bound to be 8-4 every year, regardless of the talent they have, until Jimbo Fisher can get off his butt and figure it out. Edwin with a good point. Third best QBR in the CFB this year. Yeah, there were certain passing statistics, according to Pro Football Focus, that Bennett was better than the Heisman Trophy winner. And he won the national title and beat a Nick Saban team. Yeah, but let's just throw him to the wolves. We don't need that here. Winning is not important at Georgia. It's not. Get out of here with that nonsense. Ridiculous. You're still third in the country with 27 commitments, 5 stars, 15 4 stars, 7 3 stars. I mean, yeah. He's killing recruiting too. I think they just look for somebody to blame for next season, because I've used this term with LSU for a bit, a one-hit wonder. Now, LSU fans get really upset when you say that. Okay? But bear with me, LSU fans, because a lot of you have heard me say this before. But Georgia's afraid of being a one-hit wonder and not getting another national title for another 40 years. And Kirby Smart having to be wheeled down from whatever stadium they're in 40 years from now when they win another. That's what they're scared of. That's exactly what they're scared of being a one-hit wonder. They were great this year, but the next year, they sucked. Traveling Fool says, Georgia fans crack me up. So used to being disappointed. Even after winning a natty 3 weeks ago, they're still mad. They're mad that their starting quarterback that won the national title is coming back. What a mess, man. I think he's the only quarterback in the country, and I have to do my research, that was actually a starter that has a national championship ring that's coming back, and that's not good enough. It's not good enough. Maybe you should just return the national title. Just give it back to Alabama. I mean, you don't exactly appreciate the one that you've got. You're not willing to say, hey, Bennett was good enough to get us there. Maybe he should be given the opportunity to try. Now, if Bennett goes out in the spring and he sucks, you kind of have to go with your coaching staff, because they did win the national title. And if they say, you know what, Bennett was here, but I don't know, Gunnar Stockton played better than he did. You got to go with your coaching staff there. But he should be given the opportunity to compete for the starting job. The beating this guy's taking on social media is insane. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Go Dogs 18 online says, I was hoping Stetson would go out on top and let the 5 stars have a shot, but he's fine with it, and that's fair. But you know what? Kirby Smart's going to play the best quarterback. He's already proven that. He thought Stetson Bennett was good enough to do it last year. Maybe somebody coming in will be good enough to do it this year. Maybe Gunnar Stockton will come in and tear it up in spring practice and tear it up in summer camp and have that opportunity to lead the Bulldogs out as they get started for next season. Why don't you just listen to your coaches just a little bit? They did win a national title for you. Or we can just say, to hell with them. We don't need them either. However you want to go. 803-978-1832. This is The Rundown. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Jay's hilarious. You think that your defense is going to be crap next year? I doubt it. The numbers show with who you've got coming back, you should be really good. That's funny, Blake. Kirby hasn't done very well molding five-star quarterbacks anyway. Maybe he needs an underdog quarterback. I mean, that's fair, right? He took the guy that was at junior college and won the national title with him. Maybe that's what we need. GA Dog, you don't really know that. I mean, looking at what Georgia's got coming back on defense, I think you're going to be really good. Definitely the best in the East. Jay, I'm reading this comment. Oh my goodness. Jay off the top rope. We'll highlight that one for a minute. Welcome back to The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Jay says our best players are walk-ons and 3-stars, but Kirby doesn't develop talent. Kirby can't help it. Their ability to coach is underground in a bunker in the Middle East. Oof. Jimmy says the defense at UGA will have a huge problem on defense next year. His name is Muschamp. Oh. Look, we try to deal in the area of facts here on the program. Will Muschamp has been really good as far as being a defensive coordinator. When he actually becomes a head coach, though, he turns into a steaming pile of pencils. There's a word I can use on the radio. But when it comes back down to it, he's good on the defensive side of the ball. So we go with things that are factual here. Kirby Smart won a national title with a guy that wasn't a 5-star quarterback. So there's that. And now fans want to get rid of that guy and then go from there. You think that Bennett doesn't walk into the huddle? Now, granted, he's smaller than everyone else. My wife doesn't watch college football. She watched some of the national championship game with me when Bennett came out for the coin toss, or she saw him on the sideline, whatever. She's like, my goodness, he's so little. Is that somebody's little brother? That's what she thought of Stetson Bennett. He goes out there and just wins the national title. Now the Georgia fan base wants to get rid of him. Hilarious. Man, that one-hit wonder title, oof. Maybe coming your way with the logic that you guys have. Blake wants to know if she watches WWE. No, she doesn't. My wife's into watching the 1992 version of Pride and Prejudice that was on A&E that's like 18 hours long. Out to the phones we go, 803-978-1832. Welcome into The Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, this is Dan. How are you, man?
Dan, what's up, brother?
Hey, just want to talk about Kirby Smart and quarterbacks yet again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Kirby Smart is a fantastic football coach, a great program builder, a great defensive mind, and he's the dumbest person I've ever seen when it comes to quarterback. Easily the dumbest person I've ever seen when it comes to quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't had a good record of it, but I think you have to give him credit for putting Bennett out there this year and molding him to a point where he could win the national title. He deserves credit, Fat.
Well, I think he deserves credit for, putting together a NFL caliber defense that every single time we've held an opponent under 20 points that we've won. But every single time it's gone over that with Stetson Bennett in there, we are not equipped to throw our way back into a football game. And I think that's what Georgia fans are mad about is every single time we get down by 10 to 14 points, we don't have a quarterback or a system to throw our way back into a football game.
Respectfully, the Georgia offense finished second in the conference as far as total yards, right behind Alabama, but ahead of Ole Miss, Tennessee, etc. So something is turning right there. I mean, the numbers show that, right?
Well, I think I think Todd Monken is a fantastic offensive coordinator considering he's been straddled with a third-string JUCO talent for 2 years. I think he should get the Broyles Award. I mean, he's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, look, I find it amusing that there is and I think it is the vocal minority here that are out there on Twitter and everything else trying to run this young man through the cleaners when, what was it, 10 days ago, he's helping hoist the national trophy. So it's just kind of like, that's not a good look, you know?
Well, what I would say is this: would Clemson want a bunch of JUCO talent at their quarterback position, or do you want 5-star, 4-star talent out there at a big boy football program?
I think Clemson wants to win national titles, which is what Georgia just did. And I don't think it matters to Dabo Swinney. Whoever gets the job done, that's the big deal. If you're going to finish second in the conference in offense, quarterback's doing something right.
Right, but you guys won your national championships because you got a Deshaun Watson and a Trevor Lawrence, right? You didn't do that with a Stetson Bennett.
Did you watch the national championship game? Clemson won by 28 over Alabama. The Alabama folks will tell you it was the offense putting Tua Tagovailoa on his back that's what led them to, the defense with that mammoth defensive line where all those guys came back that led that team to a national title. Trevor Lawrence was a freshman and played a good game, but a pick six by a guy that's in the NFL right now, and A.J. Terrell to start it off with, and the fact that Alabama wasn't running, that's what won that game. I'm not trying to do battle with you here. Look, I have nothing but respect for what Georgia done. I'm just saying I think that Bennett should get a little bit more credit. The second best offense in the SEC, and he won the national title, and it seems like people are wanting to throw him out the window. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think what I would say is, and I don't, look, I mean, Stetson has exceeded his ability level, right? I think what Georgia fans are seeing and what the frustration is, look, this is not going to be a national championship caliber squad we got coming back next year. I don't know if Georgia fans need to hear that, but they need to hear that right now. We got guys that are leaving and we got inexperience coming in, and I think it's a transitional year. So if it's a transitional year, why not work with guys that are going to be here past 2022? And this notion that there's going to be a competition and that the best man is going to win is complete and utter Disney dog nonsense. Stetson Bennett is the starter. Kirby will set himself on fire before he makes the quarterback change. And that's what it is. Stetson is the starter, and we could lose by 40 points, and he will never take Stetson out of the game unless he gets hurt.
I think that is valid, that he's not going to take him out. I can definitely agree with that. But, and what you said too, I guess could make some sense as far as, hey, let's mold some guy, and a guy that if you think it's going to be a completely transitional year where 10 wins is outstanding, where you have a season like Clemson had, let's use that as an example, we're winning 10 games and maybe going to the SEC championship game, but falling short there. If that's the kind of season you're going to have with Stetson Bennett, or maybe put somebody else in there that can help you out for the following. I can understand that. That's fair.
Well, and I'll just say this. I mean, Gunnar Stockton is a dude. He is a dude. I mean, he is that guy. All right. Brock Vandergrift, I'm 50-50 on him. But Gunnar Stockton is that next level guy. But man, if Kirby's going to bury him on the depth chart, he's going to leave. So that's my concern, man.
Well, respectfully on this too, I mean, I can go back to where several folks were telling me, man, JT Daniels is the guy. Walter Smith, the football ratings expert, had him as like the third best quarterback in the country coming into the season. and he was over there guarding the Gatorade cooler at the end of the game for the national championship with a guy a foot shorter than he is out there helping hoist it up. So we don't really know for sure until they get back out there. And Gunnar Stockton stepping on foot on campus, we don't know how he's going to react. Definitely, there are some folks that are saying kind of the same things, but until they get out there and get hit by people, it's just tough to figure out, especially with these youngins coming in.
Yeah, well, we'll see, man. I mean, look, listen, and I've said this before. Kirby Smart, he's won us a national championship for the first time in 40 years. I just feel that if we want to be like the Clemsons and the Alabamas and pull down multiple national championships, we're going to need better talent at the quarterback position.
That's a fair statement. Appreciate you calling the program, man. Thank you very much.
All
right, there you go. He was calling out the, quote, Disney dogs. I've heard that phrase before. My goodness. Already talking about Disney dogs, and we're 10 days out from the national title. Beast Bailey online says Stetson will start next year unless something drastically happens to, I think he meant Stockton. We'll see. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. We could talk about the stuff with Stetson Bennett. We could talk about the transfer portal. An article came out about some ideas that certain coaches said might help the transfer portal. Also, the first mock drafts are out. We could talk about that. 2 former South Carolina coaches have been hired on at Alabama. We could talk about that too. Lots of things we can get into today here on The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. I'm on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. Be sure to follow me there. And we'll be right back in just a moment. Maybe I'm just naive, but I find it hard to believe that Georgia's going to fall completely off the planet. I mean, their season's going to come down to, once again, can they beat Alabama? I mean, can they do it again next year? But that's kind of their season every year, right? In theory, they're light years better than Auburn. They're light years better than anyone in the conference except for Alabama. Give me another team that matches up right now with Georgia in the SEC that's not Alabama. And don't say Texas A&M because I will laugh at you hysterically. Your entire season hinges on what you do with Alabama. But that's every year. I do find it funny that Texas A&M fans are running their mouth. Stop it, Tilly. Old 7-5 Fisher. Ugh. Look, I give you Georgia fans. Tell me what's so great about Texas A&M. I'll wait. Those fools are destined to lose 4 games every season. Every season. And by the way, they're not on Georgia's schedule. The only way that they'll meet them is if they're in the SEC championship game, and they can't. Texas A&M always shoots themselves in the foot. They did beat Alabama this year. Their last few recruiting classes. Okay. You're going to put them on par with them right now? I respect the debate, sir, but until old Jimbo Fisher gets over it. He hasn't been right since his wife was screwing the Florida trainer. Old Candy with an eye that he met in a strip club. He hasn't been right since then. And that's just real. The Florida Gators trainer was banging his wife, and he hasn't been right since. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. We were talking about this during the break in the chat room. You can find that on the Fox Sports Radio 1400 Facebook page. You know, it's the idea of Georgia slipping off is kind of silly. There isn't a team out there that can go through the ringer and match wits with Georgia in the SEC that's not Alabama. It's pretty much those two. Kentucky fans will get upset because, hey, they finished 10-3, and you should respect Kroger Field and the 30,000 fans there that would much rather be at a basketball game. But they can't match week for week with them. No one can. It's just, it's Alabama and Georgia. That's the show right now in the conference. Back out to the phones. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Rob, it's Bobby and Casey again. I'm on a double dip.
All right. Go
One
quickly.
quick thing.
Yep.
The NCAA ratified a new constitution. I just sent it to you off of Chris Vanini, Pete Thamel, and AP. So I didn't crack it open and read it, but it's just pretty much their meeting.
Right.
And it seems like they're backing off on some things. They might let the blue blood college football programs break away and take Notre Dame and make their own tournament like March Madness.
We'll see, man.
So
Hey, appreciate it, Bobby. Thank you.
Yeah, just let you know that's kind of the breaking news, along with the Stetson Bennett and coming back to Georgia. So maybe you can bring it up on tomorrow's show. Of course, I'll be working tomorrow, supposedly, with the inclement weather.
All right, bud. Appreciate it. Thank you, man.
All right, you have a good day. Thank you.
All right. We'll get into that momentarily, but finishing my thought on the stuff with Georgia, the idea of them falling off the planet is silly. It really is. So, I mean, you can't really name another team that is going to, it's not necessarily even knocking them off. Texas A&M beat Alabama last year, and Alabama still won the division. It's about being consistent. And consistency is right there with Georgia. So there's that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. I found an article about top 25 teams and one thing that could hinder them a little bit. And it gave some of the stuff here for the projected teams. Alabama's big thing is who's going to step up in the receiver room. So, yeah, we'll have to figure out about that. We were talking about Georgia for a second, and they said that how the Bulldogs respond to the losses on defense. They've got to prepare to lose the likes of defensive lineman Jordan Davis and Travon Walker. And for goodness sakes, Darion Kendrick, who nobody would throw his way. I mean, he didn't put up the big stats that you would normally have. That's because nobody threw the ball at him. They knew what would happen if they did. They game planned around him. And the Georgia coaching staff has to be given praise for that, because they took a guy that was literally sitting in front of his girlfriend's house in a car with a gun in his lap, and within a year turned him into a national champion. So I think losing those on that side of the defense is not going to be a good thing. We were talking about Texas A&M. Who's going to be the quarterback there? Don't you feel more better if you actually know who your quarterback's going to be? Of course, Zach Calzada led them to the win over Alabama. He's going to be going to Auburn. So they're going to enter with Max Johnson, Haynes King, and five-star freshman Connor Wegman. They probably got some holes there. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Some other notes about top 25 teams and their biggest thing they're going to have to deal with. For Clemson, how Dabo Swinney adjusts to major staff changes after a rough year on offense. Yeah, a rough year on offense. Rick says, I have a hatred for Kentucky. I love Kentucky. What are you talking about? I almost went to Murray State University. Love Kentucky. All about the bluegrass. I don't have hatred for anyone. So it's not like that. But yeah, there's a section of the Clemson fan base that wonders if Uiagalelei is going to be the guy at quarterback. We shall see. A couple of other notes for top 25 teams. I mean, I could talk about Michigan, Michigan State, Baylor. Dave Aranda react to being a premier team in the Big 12. Yeah, I don't really think that's that big of a deal. Wake Forest, how did Demon Deacons react to being Clemson's biggest challenger in the entire ACC? You should calm down with that because Dave Doran is up at NC State claiming they won 10 games last year with a Holiday Bowl trophy that was given to them without them even having to play. And he'll tell you that they're the biggest challenge to Clemson in the ACC, even though they have to go to Clemson in Death Valley to win there, to have an opportunity most likely to go to the ACC championship game. Wake Forest hasn't won against Clemson in like 14 seasons. But yeah, those are the two big ones there. I just laugh when I see stuff like that. Wake Forest and NC State, you can make an argument that they could be at the top of the Atlantic. But I don't think Dave Clawson sets his team up to worry about, hey, are we competing against Clemson? Either way, funny. Lots of funny stuff there. Some other notes. Oregon avoiding the letdown game. Yeah, okay. I mean, we can get into that. How about Oklahoma? Oklahoma's going to be an interesting team because they're going to be completely different under Brent Venables. You're going from a guy that was an offensive type coach into a guy that is more on the lines of, hey, we're going to play good defense and go from there. Could we get to a point where Oklahoma goes back to being a really, really good defensive team like they were at one point? I don't know. It's a point to ponder there. For Brent Venables to be successful, I'd be shocked if they come out and they lead the Big 12 in offense next year. They had so many people that have transferred in and out. But Oklahoma's we shall wait and see. I do have faith in Coach Venables. But on the other hand, he's a completely different kind of coach. Oklahoma State, how their defense will adjust without Jim Knowles. Knowles was a finalist for the Broyles Award given to the top assistant coach in all of football. Kind of the perfect balance there with Coach Gundy being the offensive mind, and he's gone somewhere else. So that's kind of a big deal. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name, of course, is Rob Sanders. If you would like to join the program, 803-978-1832. Here's a note on Tennessee. Hendon Hooker, getting better on defense. Yeah, you think? Tennessee defense was not very good last year. They could definitely improve on defense. Yeah. Here's the write-up. Hendon Hooker returning at quarterback is great news for the Vols. That he led the offense to an average of 39 points a game. Good for 7th in the nation. What needs to get better is the defense, which ranked 90th in points allowed per game. Should the Vols want to take the next step from a 7-win regular season, it starts there. Imagine just for a moment, if you had South Carolina's defense, of course, led by Coach Clayton White, and that Vols offense, they may have won 9-10 games last year. Yeah. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. This is The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. You guys are killing me with the lube talk. My goodness. Wow. Hello. Saban endorses his diapers. That's outstanding. I could Photoshop Nick Saban's face on a Depends ad. Who would share that? Who's doing admin over there? Is someone doing, what is it, the monitoring or whatever? Because I don't have the YouTube feed up. I mean, my feed shows for all 3 destinations I'm streaming to, but I can't keep up the YouTube feed. Somebody over there should be an admin. I can't remember who we had as admin, but whoever it is, you guys are awesome over there. Thank you for doing that. If you're one of those admin that blocked Beggin' Megan, please unblock it. Jay, did you block Beggin' Megan? He can't comment for some reason on the show. I know that there was some heat between him and Uncle Lou, but man, let it go. My goodness. Nick Saban almost looks like Huey Lewis. I'm just saying I don't want him blocked. I don't want anybody blocked. You should be able to say whatever you want as long as it's not racist. Oh, Jesus. Now we're going back to Jay talking about hogs and lube. That's what Jay's life is. Lubes and hogs. Well, thanks for checking it out, Michelle. Please subscribe. Like the channel. Thank you. Every day show at 3:00. Well, welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. A couple of coaching notes here. 2 former South Carolina defense or coaches have been hired at Alabama. Travaris Robinson will be the next Alabama defensive backs coach, according to reports yesterday evening, while Coleman Hutzler will join Nick Saban's staff in some capacity. The Athletics' Bruce Feldman was one of the first to report the Robinson news. And, of course, Robinson worked at Miami last year, but obviously they went with someone else. And then, I can't remember what happened. Yeah, Hutzler was the linebackers and special teams coach for 5 years before leaving in 2020 to take a job at Texas. Man, if you want to travel the country and you like college football, become an assistant coach. I mean, T-Rob went from here to Miami. Now he's going to Alabama. Hutzler went from here to Texas to Ole Miss. And he's going to be Alabama's special teams coordinator and outside linebackers coach. I guess if you want to talk about that, working for Coach Saban, oof. Justin says, Rob, the players from Alabama leaving for another team is going to be bad next season. You know what? Forgive me if I don't feel sorry for them. I mean, Alabama beats the holy hell out of everyone. Forgive me if I don't feel bad that they oversign players every year. And some of those guys are like, hey, I'd like to play, and they go somewhere else. Forgive me if I feel terrible about that. If I just feel so, terrible that I'm just going to go and cry in the corner. The one thing that happens a lot with a lot of big programs, they oversign. They put more guys into the field there than they put more guys on the roster than they actually need. And those guys go somewhere else. (803-978-1832), 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. as we roll along here on a Thursday. Supposedly we're having some, they're calling it inclement weather. So bear with me a minute. I want to share this with you before we get out of here. I had some friends that live in Lexington, which for those that are outside of the area here, it is Lexington is basically, I don't know, 20 minutes from Columbia, I think is a fair assessment, something like that. And apparently they are salting the roads in Lexington, even though it's raining today. So like this morning, it was like 50 degrees and it's raining. It was nasty, but they're out there salting the roads. Now, I don't know much about it. So I went to my Yankee friend. I use the term Yankee friend because that's what I call him, my buddy Kelly Nash down the hall, who lived in New York City. So he understands a little bit about when you should salt the roads and when you shouldn't. Okay. And he said that sometimes they put what's called a brine out there, but not when it's raining because it dilutes it and it goes into the, the sewage, basically. We know nothing about taking care of ourselves when it comes to freezing rain, etc. Absolutely nothing. Here's what I know. Tomorrow, I'm going to come in and do my show. Come hell or high water, I will be here to do the program. Snowing, raining, whatever. We're going to do a program tomorrow. Levon Kirkland is going to join us tomorrow. We're going to talk NFL playoffs and everything else tomorrow. But once my time ends here tomorrow, I'm going to go to my house and chill out. Why? Not because I don't know how to drive in this stuff. I lived in Iowa. I know how to drive in snow. Okay? It's the other people around here that don't. So I'm going to take my happy butt. I'm probably going to have a grocery list. I'm going to get whatever it is that we need for groceries at the house. And then we're going to pack it in until Saturday afternoon. That's it. And you know what? If there is a 1/4 inch of ice on the roads, like some people say there's going to be, unless you are somebody that has to go to work, and trust me, we had this conversation with the whole COVID thing about quote essential personnel. Unless you're one of those folks, how about this? All the money that you spend on your HD TVs and your stereos and all that to where you don't have to leave your house, all the money that you built building your man caves, etc. Take your butt home and chill out tomorrow. There you go. Little word of advice here from the Rundown with Rob Sanders. You can still reach out to the world via Twitter. You can follow me there at Rob Sounds Good. But Friday evening, stay home. I know that sounds like, oh my goodness, Rob is just being mean. Here's a thought. If you stay home, you don't get into a car accident. And that, my friends, is a good thing. Exactly. Don't get in car wrecks. Brent says he's never seen snow. That's true, too. If you haven't seen snow, you probably shouldn't drive in it. Justin's trying to troll me online. Do you think Alabama will win one game next season? Get out of here, Justin. It's too early for trolling, sir. You don't troll until Friday at 3:30. What a mess some of you guys are over there. I appreciate every one of you that show up. But let's slow our roll with that for a minute. All right, tomorrow on the program, as I said, someone who actually played football, was an all-decade linebacker for the NFL. He's going to be sitting right there in that chair that I'm looking at over there. And we are going to talk about the NFL playoffs tomorrow and the big story with what happened with the NCAA today, because the story dropped while I was in here. I didn't get a chance to read it. But apparently it's big. And I didn't even bring you the stuff about the transfer portal. Hold 1 second here on this. Hold on. Let me see if I can give you this one number. On the transfer portal, before we get out of here, for every star quarterback like Caleb Williams, the nation's #1 recruit, now he's got the pick of the litter after leaving Oklahoma. Nearly 3 out of 4 Power 5 players who entered the transfer portal during the 2019-2020 cycle did not land at another Power 5 program. And nearly half did not find a new home or fell to the FCS or a junior college, according to numbers compiled by and studied by 247 Sports. Only 37% of FBS scholarships players landed at another FBS school. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Clawson had it right from the start. He should literally have a trash can, not like Tennessee, on the field, but right next to his office that says the transfer portal, because he called it the trash portal. And he was right. So shout out to you, Coach Clawson. You know what you're talking about. You really, really do. There you go. Thank you for that. All right. So tomorrow, as I said, we're going to have our good buddy, Levon Kirkland, on the program. It's so cool to have someone that actually played football in here who knows his stuff. Can't really, what are you going to say? Oh, I'm going to go against what Levon Kirkland says. He only coached with Bruce Arians and, was one of the greatest linebackers of the 90s. Yeah, we'll just poop on what he says. Okay. All right. Remember, Lawton Swan is next. He is the czar of Clemson sports. Follow him at Clemson Sports.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
We love the Swan here. He'll be on from 4 to 6, taking all of your content that you need as far as Clemson and everything else. Gamecock fans, listen. I know they do. They tell me they do. They don't tell their Gamecock friends, though. They don't. But they do listen. And you should, too, to Clemson Sports Talk right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I'll be back at it tomorrow. Thanks for downloading the podcast. That will be up at about 5 o'clock today. Blog page is up, foxsportsradio1400.com. I'm on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. We shall see you tomorrow. All right, you guys are awesome. I'm going to work on that Photoshop of Nick Saban on a box of Depends. I think that'd be hilarious. You guys follow me there. I may tweet it out there. All right, you guys rock. If you're in South Carolina, stay safe tomorrow. Don't be out on the roads. All right? Appreciate y'all. Talk to you later on.